On a cold February evening in 2004, a young nursing student vanished into the snowy wilderness of New Hampshire. Her name was Maura Murray, and in the years since her disappearance, her case has become one of the internet's most dissected and theorized missing persons cases. But beneath the theories, Reddit threads, and documentaries, lies a hauntingly simple fact: a young woman drove into the night, and was never seen again. This is the story of Maura Murray, a trail that begins with secrets, detours into confusion, and ends with a void that refuses to be filled. Maura Murray was born on May 4, 1982, in Hampshire, Massachusetts, the fourth of 5 children in a close-knit Irish Catholic family. She was intelligent, athletic, and ambitious, a standout in both academics and sports. After high school, Maura attended the United States Military Academy at West Point, where she began studying chemical engineering. But after her freshman year, she transferred to the University of Massachusetts Amherst to study nursing, a decision some say marked a turning point in her life. To most, Maura was the picture of success. But under the surface, things weren't as perfect as they seemed. In the months leading up to her disappearance, Maura began to exhibit signs of stress and secrecy. On November 2003, she was caught using a stolen credit card to order food, though charges were later dismissed after she completed a diversion program. She was also reportedly struggling emotionally. According to her supervisor at the UMass campus security job, Maura broke down in tears one night, and when asked what was wrong, she simply said, "My sister." To this day, no one knows exactly what she meant. At the same time, Maura had a boyfriend, Billy Roche, who was stationed in Oklahoma. They had a long-distance relationship that some believed was strained. Emails recovered later hinted at infidelity and growing emotional distance. By February 2004, something was building. Something Maura clearly wanted to escape from. On February 7, Maura's father, Fred Murray, visited her in Amherst. They spent time car shopping, had dinner, and then she borrowed his car. That night, she crashed it into a guardrail. The accident wasn't serious, but it was costly, and for Fred, it was another reason to be worried. The following Monday, February 9, Maura emailed her professors and said there had been a death in the family, and she would be gone for a few days. This turned out to be a lie: there had been no death. She then packed her belongings, withdrew $280 from an ATM, and bought alcohol from a nearby liquor store. Surveillance footage shows her alone, composed, and moving with purpose. She then got into her black 1996 Saturn and headed north. No one knows exactly why she chose Haverhill, New Hampshire, a rural town near the White Mountains. But that's where her trail would end. At around 7:27 p.m., a resident of Woodsville, New Hampshire, heard a loud thud outside her home on Route 112. When she looked out, she saw a car that had crashed into a snowbank. It was Maura's Saturn. A local bus driver, Butch Atwood, stopped and offered help. He said Maura declined, claiming she had already called AAA, a lie, since there was no cell reception in that area. She insisted she didn't need help. Atwood drove off and called the police shortly after. By the time officers arrived, about 7 to 10 minutes later, Maura was gone. The car was locked. Her belongings, including the alcohol she purchased and printed directions to Burlington, Vermont, were inside. The car had hit a tree, but not hard enough to cause injury. The only notable signs were a rag stuffed into the tailpipe and some spilled wine on the interior. There were no footprints in the snow leading away from the scene, at least none that were documented. Just like that, Maura Murray had vanished. The investigation begins, and stalls. In the hours and days that followed, the search began. But from the start, efforts were hampered by delays, miscommunication, and a lack of urgency. Authorities initially treated it as a simple case of a young woman running away, possibly intoxicated, possibly ashamed. By the time the full-scale search kicked in, days had passed. Dogs lost the scent within 100 yards. Helicopters and thermal imaging found nothing. Even with snow on the ground, there were no reliable tracks to follow. Fred Murray, Maura's father, was adamant from the beginning. He believed Maura had been abducted. Others theorized she may have gotten into another car voluntarily. But the question remained, where would she have gone, and why? Over the years, Maura's disappearance became one of the first viral true crime cases. Online sleuths began dissecting every aspect, from police reports to Maura's personal life. Podcasts, blogs, and even TV specials followed. Theories range from the plausible to the bizarre. That she was fleeing an abusive relationship. That she died of exposure in the woods and her body was never found. That she staged her own disappearance to start over. That she was picked up and murdered by an opportunistic stranger or local. That someone she knew was involved. But despite hundreds of tips, no theory has ever been proven. No definitive evidence has emerged. No body has been found. And Maura has never contacted anyone. In 2017, her case was reclassified as a suspicious disappearance, and excavation was even done at a nearby property, but again, nothing came of it. Fred Murray never gave up. For nearly 2 decades, he fought for answers, filed FOIA requests, and pushed the case into the public eye. He believed Maura was the victim of foul play, possibly at the hands of someone in the area, and that someone out there still knows what happened. The road where Maura crashed, Route 112, is lonely, dark, and surrounded by thick woods. To this day, travelers still stop to take photos, hoping for answers. But all that remains is a blue ribbon tied to a tree, marking the spot where Maura was last seen. No footprints. No final message. Just a car, a quiet road, and a mystery that refuses to die. As of today, Maura Murray has been missing for over 21 years. What happened on that February night in 2004? Did Maura plan to disappear? Did she become the victim of a crime? Or did something go terribly wrong in the cold darkness of New Hampshire? Until someone talks, we may never know.